Check 1 2, check 1 2. Welcome everyone to another episode of Van Candy. My host. Well, I already messed it up. See you guys. Just kidding. Hey everyone, my name's Nick Dundas. I am your host. Welcome to another episode of Van Candy. We are headed down to Portland to see if we can get ourselves at the Helium open mic. Helium is a comedy club which has many locations, one of which is in Portland. I've been to see a friend perform or two. I've yet to perform there and would love to get some more stage time anywhere I can. So doing the open mic helps, then I will do that. And I also have a few shows booked for this week. I'll be in Turner, Oregon, outside of Salem this Wednesday. That's April 7th, I think. And then April 9th, on a Friday, I will be in Salem, featuring at the Infinity Room for Sam Miller. Jeremiah Coughlin will be the headliner for the Wednesday show I'm at. And then I'm at Al's Den this upcoming Saturday. That'll be a great show, late night in Portland. And I'll probably head back home that same night, early in the morning on Sunday, because I got a photo shoot, baby, with the Parlor Tricks boys. We are going to be looking good. I'll be tired and probably have gained some weight from the trip. But that's not the plan, at least. Anyway, I was just in Tacoma for the past couple hours. What I love about life is that I can work from home and work at a coffee shop most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time. This coffee shop was loud. It's quiet music that they played loudly. So imagine a very loud flute in your ear. I can't do any meetings. So I had to go outside. Fortunately, they had an outdoor patio. It was chilly, but it was quiet. And I got my meeting done. Wasn't as prepared for the meeting as I thought I was supposed to be. I did one thing when they asked for another thing, but that one thing overlapped just enough with the other thing where they said, Nick, your comments were tangential. They didn't say, hey, that's not at all what we're talking about. This is a tangent, though, that we don't need to go down. Thank you for wasting 10 minutes. The rest of us will talk about the real stuff for the next 50. So that's how my day job's going. But there's more to come, I'm sure. I'm excited for this week. I'll also likely be in Eugene on Thursday. I'll hopefully hit up some contacts to see if I can get myself in some open mics, see if I can meet some bookers. Oregon is becoming more and more like California in 1890. It's a gold rush for small comedy mics. And I'm taking advantage while I can. Spreading the gospel, spreading the seed. How much seed do I got? Not much, according to my doctor. I need, it's not a problem, but it could be when I want a kid, so. I did donate sperm, though. I want everyone to know that. I was legally able to. I was just tall enough where someone might want my baby. And I have no idea if I've helped someone get pregnant. They don't tell you that till the kid's 18, so. At least I don't think. Apparently you are getting more money when people choose your sperm, though. I'm now remembering. And I don't remember ever getting an extra $50. You get $50 for jerking off. I'd go 3 times a week. Great supplemental income. Kind of a bummer, though, when you have a girlfriend. But, fortunately, because you're not supposed to jerk off in between each session, right? You have to wait 48 hours. That's why you can only do it about 3, maybe 4 times a week, I think. I don't think the math adds up, actually. So I'd go 1 to 3, average 2. But that's only because my girlfriend lived so far away when I was doing this. 2 years, year and a half. The taxes on that were terrible because they go through the federal government. So there's no way you're not getting taxed on that. I hope this broadcast gets found 20 years from now, and somebody's like, huh, what a loser. I hope I don't know anyone whose dad that is, and it's going to be them. That's the best part. It's going to be them. You know, this isn't a random fantasy. Anyway, last week, 2 weeks ago, I was on the road as well. I was in Spokane, did a Sunday at Spokane Comedy Club. I was fortunate enough to get booked on the Dope Show, which is the second weed show I've been on. I've been on the Gateway Show, now the Dope Show. Great experiences with both. And that's all I'm going to say. That's all I want to add to either of those. Just fun experience on both. I booked on 2 shows for Dope Show, so I went to Spokane to perform. And the Dope Show, if you don't know, because I haven't explained, is when they get 4 or 5 comedians to do 10 minutes of stand-up comedy. This is the same with the Gateway Show. And then they get you really high, as high as you possibly can. It's uncomfortably high, actually, and I don't like it. And then you do more comedy after being high. It's great for the audience, who is also mostly high, and for the comics to kind of have an experience of not having a tightrope, really not having anything really to help them balance. They're just in the deep end, just alone with your thoughts in front of 200 people. And my God, is it fun. The problem is, you start saying things you might not mean, and or might not be getting across just right. So when I went up, and in hindsight I look, it really wasn't that bad. I have a joke where I make fun of I make fun of the audience for not agreeing that they should be into incest porn, because there's 30 million people on this planet right now probably watching incest porn as we speak. A lot of people on Pornhub right now watching that. Step porn, actual mom porn, whatever. It's a thing, it's a fetish. I don't kink shame. But I joke that when I say I'm into it and everyone goes, I'm like, alright, let's not pretend we're not all down to clown in cousin town. You have a hot enough cousin, you're kind of into it, alright? Unfortunately for me, that is not the case. I don't care how many cousins I'm offending. I don't want to have sex with you. Anyway, I misspoke. And when I mean misspoke, I just doubled down. I didn't misspeak. I just kind of was aggressive. I was in Spokane, and the previous comic had said when they looked it up, Spokane's most searched porn term online was step porn. And I see that as incest porn. It is an incest adjacent. In fact, I think it's just a legal thing in terms of, I think we're all thinking the same thing. It really is incest porn. That's in my head, at least. Just like when you look up barely legal, you're basically looking up illegal. You're just one step away from I like it when they're not of age. So, anyway, I told the audience that they were all incestuous. I just said, you guys are the one who like the incest porn, not me. And then it was silent. And then I said, damn, that was aggressive. And everyone laughed nervously. I was like, all right, cool, we're back. I got him back, had jokes, self-deprecating, obviously. It was a fine show. People told me they liked it. The problem was, not all people liked it. In fact, some people were so mad that when I went to go to the bathroom, high, mind you, I smoked a whole J to the face, and if you don't know me, I don't smoke that much weed. I do from time to time, take a puff or two, usually a spliff, a little easier for me to smoke. Fucking whole straight J to the face. And I was seeing things, not really actually, you don't hallucinate on weed, but had a hard time walking around. In fact, being on stage was fine high, but once you're alone in the green room and people are talking, I was turning myself away because I don't know, I get so uncomfortable. I just want to be by myself, curled up in the bed, watching something. I'm just laughing, watching YouTube videos. I'm very antisocial when I get too high, just like anyone else. Get paranoid. So what happened was I go to the bathroom, and a couple of dudes, I want to say they were 21 at the oldest, just barely legal, are in the bathroom. As I'm waiting, there's a big mob because the show's over. And 2 of them look at me and they're like, oh, you got some balls on you coming in here. And I was like, yeah, it's the boys' room. Of course I do. That's how that works. And then I pick a urinal, and one of those same guys was next to me in the urinal next to me, and he's like, yeah, man, I can't even look at you. And I was like, yeah, don't. My dick's out. Don't look at me. That's bad. I was like, cool. And then they're like, do you think you're funny? You think the things you said were funny? And I was like, yeah, a little. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people laughed. And then I did a callback to a joke where I talk about being in the bathroom asking people for booger sugar. So I asked this guy, who clearly didn't like me, if he had booger sugar. Did not like that. And the guy was like, you should probably get out of here. And I was like, cool, I'm washing my hands first, because I'm not doing that. Then I get out. I'm like, that was weird. I thought they were just drunk. I sit down. Oh, I was wrong. Those same guys find another group of guys now near the door before leaving with girls. So with guys and girls, I want to say there's like 8 of them. And they're looking at me. They are staring at me. They want me to walk by them, but I don't. I'm just sitting there, ignoring their looks. At this point, I know kind of what's going on. I'm like, oh, they're so mad at me that they want to fight me. They think they're all cousin fuckers. They didn't realize I was joking. They went to the joke place and didn't like that I did a joke. That's fine. I know that we can be divas, and to be honest, if someone is genuinely offended by something I say, I don't mind if you tell me. I actually probably encourage it. That means you were listening, and I said something you didn't like. My girlfriend, my dad, other people in my life have told me they didn't like some of the jokes I said, but they said something. They didn't just punch me or try to. Anyway, this one guy comes up with a woman. He's holding her hand, but in his other hand he's got a clenched fist and he's gritting his teeth. And he's like, "You think you're funny? Yeah, you're high, huh? You think that's cool?" I was like, well, you came to the dope show, man. I mean, it's kind of fun. It's dope. It's not cool. It's dope. He keeps repeating himself, but he doesn't say anything. He's not saying what he's thinking. He's just saying, "You think you're funny? I don't like that. You think you're funny?" And I was like, hey, say what you're feeling. Tell me what you're feeling, or I can't help you. Is there anything on your mind? He keeps repeating himself. The girl that he's with also repeating herself. And I look at her and I was like, "Oh, is this your sister?" I didn't say that, folks. I wish I did. I probably have a black eye and a much better story, but I didn't. My friend Adam Tiller told me to say that 2 hours later when I texted him. And I was like, "It's too late. I'm on the road. Getting my ass out of Spokane before I get beat up." They're like, "How long are you staying in town?" They're like, "Oh, we're going to look for you." I'm glad I didn't do any jokes about sleeping in my van, because they would have found it right away. It was parked across from the venue. They could have easily just broken some windows, and I wouldn't have been surprised. Also, I'm high, so I'm very paranoid right now. Anyway, before anything escalates, because I'm about to stand up, not because I want to fight anyone, because his crotch is getting closer and closer to my face because I'm sitting. I'm like, this is uncomfortable for everyone. Before that could even happen, some guy interjects. He puts his body between us, hands me a $20 bill, and he's like, "Hey man, I thought what you said was really funny. I love the hustle. I'm also an artist. I make beats. I know what it's like to grind. Keep doing what you're doing." And he's walking away. And I'm like, "Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. This means so much." Because even if that fight thing didn't happen, I would have had a hard time accepting this dollar bill. Like, I was just like, or $20, excuse me. I'm like, damn, that means so much. It's usually Spokane's a city, but it's usually places with a smaller town feel, a more intimate setting where they're going to give you tips. It's crazy. I've been to Westport, Washington. I've been to places in Oregon where they will tip you for doing something that they already paid for because they liked your joke so much or they just want you to keep going. I love it. I love it. There's a quick pause because I'm on the road and just drove by a police officer, so don't want anyone to get pulled over, including myself. Anyway, he's walking away and the guy was yelling at me. He was like, "He don't deserve that." He did say it like that. He kind of had a southern twang. Eastern Washington and Alabama are very different. I'm not going to try to conflate the two. They're not similar at all. I do not like this beef that northern liberal city folk have with southern country Republican folk. Those three subjects always go hand in hand, but I don't believe any of that. I think it's stupid. It's just easy. I don't actually feel that way about Eastern Washington or Spokane specifically. I have fun when I'm there, and I had a great time. That was a little hectic, though. My heart was beating quick. This is one of the few times, though, where someone wanted to fight me. And this happened before, especially in undergrad, where I genuinely was like, I could take this guy on. I know I'm high right now, and he's got 6 friends, but this guy's much smaller than me and a bit younger than me, and I just have this confidence. You never know, though. All it takes is one kick to the kneecap, and I might be out. Or my nose. It's pretty big. I know, spoiler alert, I have a big nose, so if you punch that, probably the smart thing for you if you're trying to hurt me. Why am I giving away all my vulnerabilities? Because there's much more that meets the eye, baby. Transformers. So then the next Saturday, the next week, I went to Tacoma Comedy Club. Same thing, dope show, and I did some comedy. Same thing, but this time I took 3 puffs of a J, perfect high. I felt great, told them about the Spokane story, and I was like, yes, you guys love this. It was fun. I did the Gateway show, which is the other high show that tours nationally, actually, which is pretty cool. Love it, shout out Billy. And I didn't perform high because I was just asked to host the door, and they were kind enough to have me open. They were like, "Why don't you do a guest spot 5 minutes?" And this is the most people I've ever performed in my life. 300 people at a theater, and when I say theater, it was a college auditorium, and it was sold out. And I felt so good. This is July of last year. This is almost a year ago. And it was such a fun feeling because I'd never had it. I was very nervous, but once I got out there, I was like, cool. I almost looked at my hand for notes, but I didn't. I was at it. And it went well. So well that after smoking weed with the audience, and what happens at this show is that there's an intermission. And the audience goes outside with the comedians, and they all smoke and share weed. Again, this is during COVID, so it's probably dumb, but really fun. I had at least a J to the face also in this case, but this is from 4 or 5 different weeds. Maybe some oil too, I have no idea. And then I got super paranoid, even though I wasn't performing anymore. It didn't make sense. Again, it's just because I was so high, just in, not even a green room, just the side of this just theater, just like looking at the comedians from behind the way I like it. I love watching comics from behind. You get to see the audience react, you get to see the spectacle, see how big it is, and when you're high, it's like, whoa, did I do that? It was pretty cool. The problem was, after the show, I was saying I did so well that I had 2 or 3 people approach me, and this is a year ago, so this is the first time I've ever had this experience of someone saying, I liked your comedy so much, I really wish you had done a high set. Hey man, your shit's funny, let me follow you. And I was so high and newish to comedy, I did not know how to talk to them. I was like, oh, thank you, and that's it. I just kept staring at them, and then I was so uncomfortable that I turned my body away while they were still trying to talk to me, and I said, okay. I just kept saying okay, as in, I'm done talking. I want to go away, but I'm so high I can't even. I was so high I couldn't even text my girlfriend, hey, I'm going to be late home. I had to have my friend Richie Armani, the Richie Armani, shout out, text her for me and be like, he's just dumb, he's not. I did drive home, that was stupid. Anyway, I felt so bad because they were like, okay. And Richie, thank God, was my PR rep. He's like, he's just so high. Just trust, don't blame him. Just please, he's so thankful. If Richie wasn't so good at comedy, he'd be a great manager for comedians. But he wants his name in the lights, not anyone else. And I feel him on that. I think literally everyone does. But so those are my experiences doing high comedy. And I wouldn't do it normally. I don't think I'd even take just one hit. Hey, this is fun. I do, however, like a beer or two. It's a different loose. It's almost a more honest loose, and you're not overthinking. You're just like, I'm just going to say this. Let's jump right in. With the high one, you're like, all right, I'm saying this now, and as I'm talking, what's the next thing? Unlike a lot of people who get really high for their sets, they tend to trail off. They tend to go on intermittent paths. They do some goofy stuff. They get giggly. I'm essentially doing the same shit. Like, it's just me, and then I might change up some of the words I'm saying. Excuse me. It does make it a little more fun and genuine, I'll admit, because some of my stuff's very rehearsed, even though I tried to make it seem like it isn't. But I know what it looks like, so when I watch tape, I'm like, ugh, I've just been saying it the same way over and over. I really got to spice it up. So when you get high, you're like, ooh, here's another look at the same path I've been on. Pretty fun. Sometimes my Massachusetts accent comes out when I'm high. Just a little bit. It's not like I'm saying pak the yad like I'm from Boston, but I'm like, my D's get to hard T's, and I'm not doing ERs or ENs. It's AHs and INs. It's a little different. But I've never had a thick accent. I can't even do a pretend one, really. I'm French, and I can't even do a French accent. What does that mean? Nothing. My dad's from New England, doesn't really have much of an accent. I grew up thinking, my mom is off the boat from France, moved here in her 20s, and she was a citizen in 2004, shout out, and she has a thick accent. But because she was my mom, and she didn't sound French like all the other French people I knew, so there's the stereotype in movies, she doesn't sound anything like that, and then I know off-the-boat French people who barely know English, or they know enough English to get by, but it's confusing for everybody, including French people who are like, what are you saying? So that's the standard I had. She doesn't talk like the French dude, Steve Martin, who's not French, but he plays him in the Pink Panther. My mom just speaks like she's from Europe. You wouldn't know French off the bat. You just know, oh, definitely not American, and she's white and well-read, so I'm assuming Western Europe, but you never know. Her Spanish is immaculate. She wouldn't say that. She's like, I'm proficient. It's pretty fucking good, just because I grew up in the U.S., and I mostly know gringos who try to order at the cantina. Anyway, I didn't know that my mom had a thick French accent. So there are little things that I say that are from my mom, but don't make me sound French at all. They just make me sound dumb. They just make me sound stupid. Conjugation for one, my O's and A's, again, kind of goes hand in hand with the Massachusetts thing, so it works out. It works out. I'm blaming my mom for problems that I've created. That's fine. We all do it. I'm like, people will be like, yeah, your mom's thick accent. I'm like, no, she doesn't. You haven't met Virginie. And they're like, we haven't, but we know what French sounds like, and that's it. So I was like, all right, cool. Shout out Virginie. Family friend. When I get married, she'll be there for sure. Oh, it is blooming, guys. I know no one wants to talk about the weather, but springtime is upon us, and I'm seeing flowers on the highway. It's like all these people died on this highway. That's what it looks like right now. It looks like, there's hundreds and hundreds of giant vigils for these speedsters who got in a car collision. That's the first thing I think. And to be honest, if we're thinking over time, yeah, this road was probably built in the 50s, and before that it was a dirt path, but gotta be at least a dozen deaths on this stretch for a few miles. Come on. I'm giving myself a square mile radius within the width of this road. So it's a mile by 12. That's dude math right there. That's a dude premise. They create the boundary of this made-up scenario that is so rare, and then they ask you what you would do in that situation. Dude premise. Don't mean to stereotype, guys, but we are pretty predictable. And I say it, I know I can only speak for myself, but there are many like me. Not like a gun. There are none like it, just my own. Speaking of guns, your boy went shooting for the first time in maybe 10 years. I am not an avid gun connoisseur. I have no interest in owning a gun, maybe with time, but that doesn't make sense still, even as I say it out loud. When I was in high school, I think I was 17 years old, when my dad was dating or married to someone who lived in New Hampshire. We went quote-unquote hunting. I had a 30-06 Remington. I don't even know what that means, but it was a rifle with a scope, and my job was to push, which means make a lot of noise and walk in a direction so the deer would go to the other place where people were going to ambush them. Didn't get anything, but I woke up at 5 in the morning to get nothing. That was worth it. I took a lot of selfies, and I got made fun of for it, but hey, you live and you learn. Clearly I am a thespian and not a hunter. I'm a gatherer, if you may. That same night I shot 22 caliber little rifles, just because they're like, you got to shoot something. 30-06 might be a little out of your weight range there, but you could do the 22s. That's easy. Anyone could shoot those. Hitting some paper plates on a tree. That was fun. That was 10 years ago, over 10 years ago. So then, in January, my friend Raymond, shout out Raymond, Chew, I hope that's how you pronounce it, fuck me, threw a party, fucking fun party in his apartment. I was having a blast. Some amazing guacamole. That enhances the party. You don't need good food to have a great party, but that good party elevates to great party when you have good food. Pretty awesome. So, great food, great company, people I don't normally party with, one of whom was comedian Burunji from Uganda, has lived in Seattle now for 8 years. Great guy. Drunk, looking at me like, hey, you're white, you like guns. And I was like, shut up. It's kind of true, not really. Actually, it's not true at all. I'm not a gun guy. He's like, I want to go shooting. I want to be able to protect myself. I think it'll be fun. I was like, let's do it. My friend Marvin was there. Marvin Banyan, shout out. Great filmmaker. If you're looking for photos or anything, reach out to him. Marvin's Eye Productions. Anyway, the three of us were like, all right, let's do it. 2-3 weeks later, I was like, I messaged him, I'm like, here's some gun ranges. Like, I'm a man of my word, all right? I'm going to do this. This sounds like a great story. It was an okay story, but it's still fun. So we book it, and I went this past Sunday to a gun range. I no longer remember the name, which is kind of shitty because I wish I could promote them. But they were just bought out 3 days ago. So the day they were bought out, or the day before or day after, we were there. We were just at the gun range. So they were kind of empty, but they had all the basics. Like, hey, we don't have everything in stock, but the range obviously still works. And the lessons that you're about to get are still valid because it's through a third party. I was like, nice. So it's me, Burunji, and Marvin. Burunji and Marvin are my senior by I want to say 7 years. So they're in their mid to early 30s. I'm the youngest one there by far because everyone else is in their 50s. ex-military, and when I mean ex-military, I mean the Marines in the 70s and shit. There's some old men. It's all white men. They look sad and unmarried. That's what I saw. Doesn't mean it's true. They could have happy, fulfilling lives, and I could be wrong. But it looked just as what I expected. You know what I mean? And there is an F-250 gating behind me, guys, so I'm going to speed into the middle lane here and let him go. Because I don't want him to think that I'm slowing him down in the passing lane. He's going at least 85. Anyway, it's 3 hours of lessons. They go through these PowerPoint slides. This guy is ex-sharpshooter. And I say ex, he competes. I could tell he knew what he was doing because he had that quick draw. Pretty cool. Learn a lot about flagging, making sure you're not pointing at people. It's all safety. It was all like, here's the ins and outs of the gun. Here's what you need to know. Not in a defensive situation, but just when you encounter a gun, period. Here's how to hold it, here's how to shoot it, etc. 3 hours of that. And I was intrigued the whole time. It was captivating. I was learning something I'd never learned before, but I see it in media, like movies, TVs, all the time. So then in my head, I'm like, I'm a 185-pound, 6-foot dude. I've seen some tiny little people on TVs and movies shooting some 45s, no recoil with one hand. And I'm like, I now dub impossible. I know it's the movies, and I know other gun people might be questioning my authority on this because I took one 3-hour lesson, but let me tell you, they don't know what they're talking about at Disney. Disney Plus. Come on. It was fun. What I didn't realize was how much you got to manhandle the thing. You've got your cartridge, which holds your 15 bullets for a 9mm Glock. Even putting the bullets into that cartridge was troublesome. You really got to get used to the grooves and the fact that you got a round bullet you got to stack on another one. Not just like your Pez dispenser, which are flat. And when I mean bullets, I mean cartridges. I learned that there's a difference between that. The cartridge holds all the explosiveness, and the bullet is just the thing at the end. And then it's cocking the gun, seeing that your bullet is in there, and then holding the cock back. My God, is that hard, especially when you're just using thumbs. Oh! Gotta really muscle that, but with time you get used to it. So then after 3 hours of lessons, we started some shooting. About 50 bullets, $25. Kind of expensive, but that's fine. Got $10 in goggle gear and headgear, so I didn't blow my ears out or eyes. Felt good. I was pretty nervous. I was the last one in the row of 10. So the instructor is behind you and is just going over everything you just went, and then you hear a pow. This is, I want to say 20, 30 feet away from me. There's 2 feet in each booth. So I'm like, wow, that's pretty loud. But then the next one is closer, pow. The next one is closer, pow. Until the guy next to me, and I'm like jumping. I'm nervous. I didn't think I'd be this nervous because in class I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun. I'm making the pew pew sounds. Some guy's shirt said pew pew. I'm like, this is perfect. I've been doing this my whole life, pretend shooting stuff. And then when you get an actual gun and you're next to the loud bullets, you're like, holy shit, that lead is in the air. So I had my first shot right on target, dude, right on that black little thing. And yeah, the target was 10 feet away from me. It wasn't far at all. First time shooting, I felt good. Second, third shot, you get way more used to it. But then after a few shots, those bullets start dragging to the left. And the reason why is because you start anticipating the recoil. So my body instinctively moves forward, knowing that it's going to blow back any second. And that's why I just got worse and worse with time. More practice, I'm sure I'll get better. I did do some dry shooting in between and it improved my shot only a little bit, but pretty interesting. I don't know that I'll go back unless it's I'm just more interested in learning the tactical stuff. Like I want to learn more about what to do in certain situations. That seemed more fun. I don't care about shooting the gun. It's like preparedness. I would love to shoot a rifle outside, almost like you go to those paintball or BB gun courses. You see those celebrities in California, and they're just running around these big giant bins or haystacks. That looks fun. More action-packed. Gotta get my six-pack back and then it'll happen. But, yeah, I can't believe I just said that out loud. Ugh. Another truck. This one's not an F-250. It is a Toyota Tacoma from the 90s. Those are some fun trucks. They're low to the ground. Oop, I'm going to let this guy go. This is a Chevy Silverado. A lot of trucks in Washington. A lot of trucks. Portland, I can't say if it's the same. I also can't speak for all of Oregon, so that's why I'm just saying Portland. Guys, I know I slept in my van a few times in Spokane, so probably shouldn't be too worried, but Portland is a little different. I don't want to say it's as dangerous, but there are definitely more homeless people on the street. So I find myself in a situation where I might want to park outside of Portland. I may not stay in the city unless I have a friend who has a good recommendation. I do know of a suburban area where there was even a mic at a cafe. That seems like a better bet. But then again, I would be the creepy one in the non-creepy area. I'd rather be that, knowing that I am not creepy. I'll put an asterisk there. Some people might think I'm creepy or know that I'm a little, but we'll see. Should be a fun set of shows. Alright guys, well, that's been my time. Sorry I've been so intermittent with these and not being as consistent. I will work on being consistent. I am working on still purchasing recording equipment so that I don't have to talk through my phone in the car, so that I can be hands-free and I can film the whole time without wasting all my battery. You guys are here from the start, and when I say guys, I mean probably my dad who listened the first 5 minutes, you know? And when I mean dad, I mean nobody. That's fine. We're good. That's what I get for not being consistent with it. We'll be back. I promise. Thanks again for listening to Van Candy, everyone. Have a good week, month, day, year, life. See ya.